Slumdog Millionaire just won the Oscar. So I think part of what happens in Slumdog Millionaire is that you've taken the audience on a journey that they've never been on before. They don't quite know where it's going, and they're going into unfamiliar territory. The emotional resonance of that movie is not just a function of a good story well told, or the fact that what it does do is it plays out a traditional, a very classic sort of boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl love story narrative. It adheres to a very rigid narrative construct. It invites the audience to come on a journey with them, doesn't answer all the questions, doesn't tell you everything that's going, doesn't feed you the answers before they've come up, before the questions are asked. Whereas if you speak to, if you hear producers talk about network television dramas or comedies, they will tell you that what they need to do to have a successful network television drama is that they need to let the audience know in advance of something what is about to happen. I think that's why the networks have lost their audience, because it's boring and it's predictable, you know where it's going, and the audience is ahead of you, is ahead of the storyteller. Which is why certain shows like Lost and 24 have been so engaging, because in fact they've turned that on its head. Now I think actually the real power of The Sopranos, the real impact of The Sopranos was that it took a genre, the gangster movie genre, and it turned that on, and it turned that on its head, and it said to the audience, we're not going to give you any clues. You just got to come on this journey with us. Some of it will be familiar, some of it won't be familiar, but stick with us and come on this journey. And we're going to constantly surprise you. We're going to kill off characters. We're going to have the characters you love do terrible things. We're going to have the principal character as he's taking his daughter to try and taking her to college and get her into a college. We're going to have him kill somebody while his daughter's in the motel. I mean, so and I think that the audience was engaged in a way that it hadn't been for some time, and that's why I think it responded so powerfully to it. At a practical level, part of the challenge of the producer is to understand what that director's process is and to build around them a working environment that allows them to do their very best work. One of the last things I did at HBO was a big production based on David McCullough's book, John Adams, and it was a recreation of the story of the Founding Fathers told through the second president, John Adams. The director was a British director called Tom Hooper, immensely talented man. But because it was a recreation of a period, it was a period drama, it involved a lot of CGI and special effects and so on and so forth. And when you have a film that involves that, you really do have to plan everything very carefully so that you can, build the the CGI accordingly. Well, Tom is a brilliant director, but not unlike Robert Altman, he wings it on the day. And the production team were having terrible trouble wrangling him. And they came to me and said, Colin, you've got to tell him he's got to have a shot list, he's got to shoot this in a certain sort of way, it's the only way we can get this done. And I was looking at the dailies of the film, and some of which was startlingly brilliant, and with composition and camera angles which were beyond eccentric and yet full, vibrantly emotional. And this went on for a while, and finally I said to my guys at HBO, I said, the production guys, I said, you don't understand this. If we do that, we'll kill this guy. We'll kill the very thing that's making this really special. Your job is not to try and fit him into your predetermined process. Your job is to understand what his process is and build and work around him. And so you've got to fix this another way, but you can't fix it by putting him into a straitjacket and actually destroying the very intuitive creativity that's going on moment by moment on the set.